How's it going, guys? So I wanted to start off by saying that I'm going to upload a series of videos, basically some behind the scenes and then also some update videos. So I hope you enjoy. This video currently is about Capsize and more of a behind the scenes on that and how that went about. So basically, Capsize was we were really inspired by uh, specifically Captain Sparkle's point of view of Mianite, and then we went over to Tom's point of view. Actually, I think Tom started it when so that's Pro Syndicate, and basically Syndicate. I was into it because of Syndicate, and then I went over to Captain Sparkles, and then after that I was like, man, we need to make a Mianite animation, and in doing that, it took like 3 months at first, and things we got into some rough patches, which I'll kind of go over later on. And when you have a team, and this was early on in our team, it was only me and Blend, which is TSS Animations, which I'll be able to kind of put him up at the end. But basically, me and he should be in the description too. Really quick. I don't know if it's gonna go to his thing still. Yeah, well. Okay, so basically, me and TSS, really cool stuff. He's a really great animator. And so we started out doing the team stuff, and we made this. I did all the lighting and everything else. He just did all the animation. Certain people did certain things. Early on, we had two animators, Woody and Thomas, and they were really good. Woody, I'm pretty sure Woody did, no, Mandrake did this part. So actually three animators. And eventually they all three of them kind of left, or there were just problems and stuff. And so a lot of this I kind of had to go in and animate, and I don't really animate like that. So it was really different. Other problems were just timings and stuff like that. People were getting sick. So it was really, really crazy when you have all this stuff going on and you're just starting out a team. So it took really, really long to do this. But later on, it kind of pulled together. You can see some scenes are iffy. I want to say some of the. Oh, that's loud. Some of the scenes later on or whatever, you can see some scenes are really nice and some scenes are a bit weird, but yeah, so some scenes came out pretty nice and then other scenes were okay, it's okay. um but yeah, this is Capsize. It was our first animation, and we're hoping that our biggest hope that never ever happened, even to this day, was that Jordan would see this and be like, "Hey, I want to use this animation, put it on my channel," because it was I don't know, it's like a 5 minute animation, and we did this solely on our channel. No one else has done this, and I think it's just because I don't know, we weren't discouraged and we weren't really mad after it was done. It's just a sort of a big disappointment that no one picked this up. And then at the only people that we did get to notice it were Tom and Deck, and all they did was tweet at us and say, "Yeah, good job. That it looks nice," and that's pretty much it. But this is what kind of got us into doing everything. It took a lot of time and work, but I think it was worth it. Just some of these scenes, how they turned out. I really like how some of these scenes turned out. So in the end, kind of got the story across, but for people, it was kind of confusing because we had to put this whole, um, I don't know if it's even in here. It's not in here. Oh yeah, it is in here. So we had to put this pre-story part for people who didn't know about Mianite. We had to add captions just to make it more understandable, because people who watch Mianite sort of already understand how a lot of this stuff went, but people who didn't don't yeah, they don't really understand. Um, so as far as like the actual map or whatever, and like the stuff, I am gonna like quickly go through that. So basically we started out with animatic. I made a yeah. So basically I have this. They're super small. But you can see I kind of had a storyboard done. I don't know why it won't go there. So first we always start out with a script. So we start out with like this is like when we first did our script. So Capsize sparkles, boat scene, dock scene, outside. So you can see all these scenes and like the pretext behind everything, and everything else. If you want, you can just like pause um, and just like read some of this. But basically, this is like the main story that we tried to do on our first big animation, but it didn't really go as clean and as clear as this. Um, so we started out with this, and then I storyboarded it. I storyboarded it way before I even did all that. So basically, this is how I storyboard stuff. Basically, you have Capsize meeting, and then you have her throwing down the rose for Jordan. He kind of looks at her, she looks at him. Um, then you have them like doing this fishing scene, and it's supposed to be really nice, and do that, and then he gets the fish and he starts like dancing and stuff. And then here, um, I hate Windows Zoom. You can't like zoom into these pictures really. Basically here you have him like throwing gold at her and then she's like running away. Here you have him like looking into his chest and there's nothing there and there's like a note or something and he's like really depressed and then she comes up from behind him and says like you're the one I want and then steals the rose and runs away and he's like at least she loves me. Um, Here we have the pufferfish scene, and this is where like Jordan kind of gets it from Skipper or whoever, and and then Jordan goes over to Capsize and is like, here, have this, and he doesn't really exactly understand that she really loves pufferfish, and then that and then he's like, oh yeah, that's it. But Skipper's like, hey, at least he can give her something nice before she dies or whatever. Because there's this pretext that basically she went to like a witch hut or something, way back when her and Skipper were alone on an adventure, and she eventually got like it wasn't like poisoned, but it was like a spell cast upon her that she would eventually like meet the one she loved, which is Jordan, and then she would die from the curse. And the curse kicks in when Furia, tries to like is about to like kill her brother, or comes in confrontation with her brother. So you can see here in the next scene after this, I have the Furia thing, and if I want, I could put this side by side to the video, right? And it doesn't give me the option to look at this, but I don't know exactly how to zoom in. Oh, there you go. So basically, oh, and I can do that. Cool. So basically, if you look here, oops, no, Cinema 4D, I don't want you right now. If you look right here, it's a bit hard because this thing won't. There we go. So I'm gonna put this on mute. And basically you can see that right here it has her like kind of going to the tunnel. I actually kind of like put some of this bottom piece. So this is supposed to be like the flashback stuff. And I put this like in the middle so that way it kind of makes sense a little bit beforehand. So this is her like going with her brother. She's going to check up on the hut. Goes into the hut. She sees a witch or whatever, and the witch kind of entices her to like take a potion and drink it or whatever. That was like the first intent, but that was like too long for what we wanted to animate, and so we never got the chance to really do that. So back to this. So that's before. I wanted to put that before the actual thing. So basically, he's having like this flashback or whatever. And it makes a little bit more sense. So basically, here he has that little flashback, and then going to the Furia part, you can kind of see that it kind of matches up. So you have Furia here, you have her, or Capsize, and Capsize kind of like slashes Furia, and you can see that right here, where she. So you have this like really dramatic effect or whatever, where like Sparkles is looking through the cage, and they're all locked back here, and Furia and Capsize are up front, or whatever, and then she slashes him, and you can see that slash right here. It kind of looks like that, and then you see that Furia kind of gets back up, or whatever, like that, and he pulls out his sword, and basically this is when she has the particle effect on her, and that's why her eyes are kind of like demonized, like little like redness, or whatever, and she gets like held up in the air. That part isn't shown here because I wasn't expecting that. That's what Blend kind of wanted to do, like some force stuff. So I was like, dang, yeah, that's awesome. That'd be cool. So that happens, and then you have Sparkles kind of like banging on the thing or whatever, and then you have Fury kind of like looking at him from afar, like, yeah, you know what I'm gonna do. And then Sparkles like, no, stop, don't. And then Furia, we have this dramatic moment where he's holding her up or whatever, and she's like trying to fight through, but not really. Again, she's possessed, so she's kind of like trying to get out of that, but there's really no use because she's cursed, and she gets thrown down, and then her head chopped off. You can see right here. Basically, you have like all their reactions, or whatever, and then she gets chopped off. Her head gets chopped off, and you have all these reactions. You can see here that you have like Skipper and like Sparkles like crying over. And I actually had a different storyboard. This is like my online storyboard, but I actually have a paper storyboard also. I know it's confusing. It's crazy. I know. But I have a paper storyboard also. That actually has like the different reactions. So I took from that. I was like, dang, I need all of them to like kind of like react to this. Um, so that happened, and then you have like the Skipper moment, and then you have all of them like walking to Iron area, and you have this gate that opens up, like here, and you have Sparkles looking at the rose. So he kind of like falls back a little bit, and then he looks at the rose. I think that's why I started with this, because this is probably like the biggest like thing that people will understand and like notice. It's like you have her soul, which is the rose, and then you have, excuse me, you have Sparkles just kind of like looking at it, and then he looks away like this so dramatically. And I think it's crazy that that kind of like really fit in. And then you have him walking. I wanted to do that really nice like cloth thing, cloth effect, so that way it's like really dramatic. You're kind of like looking at him like walking through, and then it cuts to like him like really in despair stuff. He's like he um she's all dead and stuff, and he's hoping that he can get her back. As for like the lighting and stuff, it was kind of weird because it's like it didn't render out properly because we were trying to do this in a timely manner, and some of the things were like we kind of rushed in and we didn't feel like re-rendering stuff. So this was one of those things, and I asked Blend, I was like, Blend, should we still keep this in? I accidentally it rendered a bit weird, and he's like, we should still probably keep that in. It looks pretty dark, and I was like, oh, okay, fine, we'll keep it. So I mean, when he goes black, it kind of looks a bit weird, but then again, it kind of looks dark too. So I don't know. It kind of fit. So here we have Skipper kind of moaning and moaning to I think it's pretty hilarious. Here we have like him just on the floor or whatever, and then he's like crying, and then you have Sparkles kind of like walking up past. Now in the storyboard, you don't actually see his face until he actually like gets to the stairs, but I kind of wanted him to like seem like, hey, I'm kind of in the same scenario, so shut up. And then he's like, stop. Just stop right there. I got this. I'm gonna get her back. Don't worry. So then you can see here, way in the corner, there's a cube, and there's a, so this is the block of gold for her soul, and this is the rose kind of for her soul also. And basically he's going to give those to Ionite so that way she can kind of do something with that. Now this is where we put our own story in. And when I say we, I mean I, because I am the master at stories. Just kidding. But basically, so he gives her the soul and the flower, and you're gonna see that right here with these whack effects, the terrible effects for this. I cringe every time. But basically, he gives Ionite the soul, and in this big explosion, I really wanted it to be something crazy dramatic, but I don't know. I just didn't have enough knowledge on effects and stuff back then to make it like something super crazy, so I had to kind of think outside the box. But basically, you kind of have like this particle effect, and you have this little disc sphere, spherical triangle, pentagon. I don't know what it is, but basically you have the spell thing down there, and they're all like kind of like pushed away, or I wanted it to look like that, but they're all pushed away and stuff. You have Sparkle's cape going over, and they're all wondering where she is. Where the heck is Capsize? Because if you're like the most powerful god in the world, you just instantly spawn her. But that's not what happens. Um, So basically what happens here is basically you can see Sparkles kind of looks at her, says, I just want her back. And then she starts doing the magic stuff. This is when the explosion magic stuff happens. And then you can see that here is when she spawns. No, this is, I think this is still Ionite. I can't really tell. And basically he's like looking around, and this is like him. I wanted a different approach where there's all these like pillars and stuff, and like this really big large shot where he's like just searching around, he's lost, and then he looks behind him, and then there she is. But again, animation wise, couldn't really do that, and also we had to find this map, and of course it's edited and stuff. I had to go around and edit a lot of stuff in the maps. That's what I usually sort of do sometimes, but I'm starting to like get more into doing maps in Cinema 4D. But anyways, that was the shot that I kind of wanted, but this still worked out where basically she like comes from above, and she kind of spawns, and he sees her and he's gonna throw an ender pearl because we were too lazy to have him run. um and basically I have this thing here where what was supposed to happen was basically she was supposed to go around and like start like slashing all his friends and like chase him outside. So here you have like everyone kind of like, she just came down or whatever, and somebody like comes up close to her, and she slashes him, and then she like looks up all angry, zombified and everything like that, and chases everyone out. And basically Sparkles sees this, and basically Skipper kind of like looks at him and chats with him and says, let me be the one to enter. And Sparkles, I wanted this shot where basically you can see in Sparkles' eye, and there's like this reflection, and you can like see like she's slashing another of his friends, and he's like looking at Skipper, and he kind of like nods. He's like, yes, this is getting out of hand. She's zombified, and there's no way to get her back, however. So we kind of got the same approach, but not really. We didn't have the whole slashing. He kind of slashes him, and then he gets away because he understands, just like that. But if I were to do it over again, it would be her slashing many of his friends in front of him before he does something, because we all know Sparkles is a bitch when it comes to Minecraft. We all know. We all know. Syndicate killed him multiple times. There's no way. There's no way he can come back. Um, but to continue, or I want to say Mianite Sparkles was a bitch. That's it. We all know. Case closed. So basically, we see that Skipper kind of like got the confirmation from Sparkles that he should be the one to do it. And so he kind of like looks down in disappointment or whatever, and Capsize comes over to him, and kind of like jumps towards him in this kind of like actiony thing, and he like starts to cry, and then she comes at him, and then he just stabs her like all of a sudden, just arm out, stabs. Didn't happen the way I wanted it, but it still worked out where he's like kind of running. Blend wanted this thing where he kind of like trips and she's behind him, and she kind of like walks up slow and she's about to kill him, and then basically Skipper runs up and kills her for him, and she dies. So basically that's like the main thing, and then at the end, I had this thing where, cause that was supposed to kind of be the end, but then I wanted some more, and then later on I wanted the backstory. So you can see how this whole progress in the storyboard happened, and then I added even more after that. So basically here I wanted it to be like Jordan kind of like walks away because he lost her again, and kind of Ionite kind of sees this from afar, and then a creeper blows up and kills her, and Skipper gets all messed up, and then Syndicate goes in and kind of retrieves her stuff, gives it to Sparkles, and Sparkles and Syndicate look just from afar or whatever. And basically that kind of happens where basically a creeper kind of explodes or whatever, it kills her, and later on you're gonna see the from afar shot. It's like after this, it's from afar. They look from afar. I'm gonna come back to the shot, but basically from here, they kind of like look from afar. I could have done it in either way, but I think it was a little bit more dramatic that we kind of like knew what happened to Capsize, and then we see that he's like all alone, right? And so in this shot, this is the part that I was saying is more like story based that we put in. Basically in here I wanted to like emphasize that she's not really dead. She's somewhere else. She's in this new end dimension, trapped by what's her name? She's trapped by what is her name? Ionite, sorry. So she's trapped by Ionite or whatever, and you see Ionite's just here saying, you know, I'm not gonna let you have Sparkles, and you're trapped here forever, kind of thing. And that was her whole thing. Basically, the whole story about the whole story here was that Ionite is really evil, and she's not really, because we all know that basically in the past or whatever, um there was another Jordan, like another Sparkles or whatever, and I forget his name, but it was like the alternate Sparkles, and basically she had feelings for him, and then something happened to him, and then when the heroes got to Ionaria, that's when they started choosing gods and stuff like that. And because Jordan is under Ionite, it only makes sense that she would like have feelings for him again, which they kind of did have feelings for each other, and that she would maybe be jealous about Capsize. So as a god, she can do this stuff because she is a god and she has that power. And basically the whole thing was she set all of this up, not the curse part. I mean, she could have set that up, but I want to say that that was just random. And after she died, Ionite kind of planned all this. So instead of reviving Capsize, which she said she could, she revived a zombie, to not like, to make it seem like she was dead and there was nothing else they could do. So to kind of like silence them. And then I wanted to add this scene, basically to add more animation, but I wanted to add this scene where you have the gods kind of like looking at this cube of the prison where they put Capsize in, and they're both brothers to Ionite, and they're like, "What have you done, sister? Why did you do this?" And you can see it's different from my the last part that I have to this. Not this one. You can see what I originally wanted was that she kind of like died and woke up on an island, like a skyblock kind of situation. So you can see how that kind of deviated from from what I wanted to do. Um, and so I'm gonna get into some of the Cinema 4D stuff. Basically, I'm going to have timestamps just so the way people can like kind of go through things the way they want. So if you want to just like see the Cinema 4D stuff or the rundown and stuff, I'll be able to have timestamps for that. Textures might not be here. I haven't opened this stuff in a long time, so excuse me if it looks really bad or if it doesn't work. I'm gonna just try to like skim through it or whatever, since this video is already pretty large or long. I don't know. I'm just gonna go through a couple scenes from the actual thing, and then I'll be done with this thing. So I'm gonna turn textures off so you guys can kind of see what I did. Basically in the back, so I know this all looks complicated, but basically here I have my sun preset, my cloud preset, and some other stuff. So sun preset is just for sun, so we're gonna take that out. Clouds, you're not gonna be able to see that, but it's my cloud preset. It's really nice. And then you have the map. Basically what I like doing is I like overlaying a whole bunch of different maps. If a map looks too small, then it looks terrible. So I like to like overlay bunch of like geometry in the background so the way it doesn't look too plain. Because if I take all that other stuff out, like for example, if I think originally it was just this. So if I take this and this out, then it looks so plain. You can see the difference. Hold up. So it looks so plain, like you only have like this part of the map. So it's always good to like add more geometry if you need to, so the way it doesn't look so plain. And just rotate it so the way it looks a little bit different. So you have the maps. Basically here I had the here I have my water preset, or what was my ocean type preset in the beginning. So basically if I press play, you can see that all this ocean water kind of like moves, and then you also see that the boat is kind of like doing this wavy motion. It's not really wavy. Basically I just have this vibrate tag on it, and it basically makes the rotation different. I forget there is a way to have your have the boat like go directly with the displacer or geometry, but I'm too lazy to like remember how to do that. So if I turn this off, you can see now it's still, and if you turn that on, now it's not. So that was the thing I did. And then under here you can see I had Turbulence FD for the torches, and torches also have emitters which act weird. I don't know. Oh, because I baked them. And there was animation on this one. Not this one, but a different one. If I... One second. I don't know why it always goes that. So I have a lot of scenes here. Scene one. Here we go. So basically this was the final animation of scene one. If I can get it to work, you can see this is like a updated of a lot of this stuff. So updated lake preset, all the lights, all the camera stuff, and then the maps and stuff. So if it's gonna go, it won't go. Let me turn off the lake because that's all the geometry basically. I'm gonna turn off everything that, oops, not the boat. Stupid me. So I'm gonna turn off the map stuff so the way I don't have to worry about all that stuff. And turn off the sun. And then also put this without textures. Okay, so basically you can see how I kind of set this up. There we go. So basically you can kind of see how I set this up. and then you have all like the different lights and stuff, and he's kind of like looking at the bottle, and in there she is right there, and she kind of like looks at him. So that's that animation for that, and it looks like, oh, it's auto saving. Okay. So that was scene 1. Scene 2 is kind of the same. I'm gonna kind of get away from like the different scenes or whatever that are pretty similar. Scene 2 and 3 are all the same. Scene 4 was pretty fun. Oops. Scene 4 was pretty fun if I can find it, because of it was mainly the lighting that was the best. It was the most funnest. It was the most funnest. So, yeah. Not this one. I think it was this one. Yeah, okay. So basically for this one, in the actual scene, it, like, I don't know what happened, but, I had to, like, slow it down because it didn't act weird. It acted really weird. So here you can see this is kind of how the animation went. You have like the different lights and stuff. He opens up the thing, he gets like a note or whatever, and then he looks behind him, and she kind of like runs away with the flower, and he's like, no. And then you have all the lights for like the different potions and stuff, which is pretty cool. Trying to think. And I'm gonna kind of skip some of this. I'm gonna go to this scene and then go to the end scene, because I think those are the most important, and then I'll end off this video so that way it's not too long for you guys. So I'm going to the nether base. This was intense. So I'm going to, I really hope this is openable, because this was the hardest thing to render because of all the particles and stuff. We tried to do it on a render farm, but it took all our render hours away because it was that bad with like rendering and stuff, because of how many like particles and stuff that we ended up doing. Not for this was in After Effects, but I'm talking about in the beginning there was a lot of particles and stuff that we had to render. Or we tried rendering, but it just didn't work out. So basically the laggiest thing in here is this, because it's just a whole bunch of high poly clones meshed together. So we're gonna end up hiding it so that way you guys can see. I don't know if it's gonna actually show. I hope not. Okay, here we go. So basically, oh, this one's not even animated, but basically, this is kind of how it happened. I'm not gonna really go into all of it, but this was sort of the set. And then we had like lava down here. I think I stuck some lava over here. And let me get out of this. So basically it's like 2 different nether sets put together, or 3. 1 for the background, and then 2 for like the side views, so that way I can kind of like, let me turn this light off. Oh, never mind. 1 for the back, and then 2 here. And this was the main set, but you can still see like certain things from afar, so I didn't want a lot of that to be shown. Like a lot of this black space back here, I didn't want that to be shown. So, and using an atmosphere also like helps that whole process. Now the biggest scene, the largest scene to date, was definitely the throne. I think it was this one. This one was the hardest to do, and it definitely took like the most time. I don't know if this is the full one, but, or which one this actually is, but this one is, oh, this one's where he's like giving up the rose, so it's not even the longest one. Because the longest one was about 1,000 frames. So you have to imagine that's a lot. Um, and there's a lot of geometry in this one. And you can see I use my light map plugin for a lot of this stuff sometimes. If there's a lot of lights in the scene, you can definitely see that I use it a lot. You can see this is kind of how it went. There's a lot of polygons in here, so excuse me if it like lags a lot. And it's auto saving. Stop auto saving. I don't need that. Stop. No. No. This is ridiculous. I hate. See, this is why I never put autosave on. It's terrible. Just stop. Okay. So it's good and it's on low quality. Oh my goodness. So basically you can see he gives her the blocks like this. And this one. And basically how we did that is basically we did like a position thing, PSR for the stuff. And we kind of had, I don't remember how we did it. But basically when it comes out of his hand or whatever, we have a keyframed. See, you can have like we animated the keyframe on his hand or on his wrist and like turned off the visibility so the way it can kind of like float. And we manually added in the float so that way it kind of like floats to her or whatever. It's kind of weird because if you don't, you have to like animate everything. So this is kind of like the cheat way to do it, but it worked. So we have that scene. That wasn't the scene I was going to show you guys. The scene that I was going to show you guys, pretty sure is this one. And you can see they're like 2 million megabytes worth. So they're about 2 gigs. Like the last scenes were about 2 gigs because of how much stuff there was. And you can see that I used a lot of lights when it comes to like large scenes. I usually start off with light map and then go from there. I think these were all like lights that were volumetric lights, and then these two were like lights to just to like highlight sparkles and stuff. So give it 1 second. This video is running about 40 minutes, so I'm thinking that maybe 45 minutes and then we'll be done. That's what I'm hoping for, under 45 minutes. I don't want to waste your guys' time. Okay, so this was the big scene, okay? I really like this scene though. 1 second. It's all pink. So, this scene has a lot of good stuff just to use as like, and it's pretty, I mean, for some reason it's pretty fast in the viewport, but here you can see that I'm using a special camera. I don't know if it shows here, but I'm using a special camera that has like a sort of vibrate tag on it to like get that shaky motion once when they're in here and that all that particle stuff is happening. I also have an atmosphere on. I don't know where that is either. Basically all this stuff right here is atmosphere, the pinkish kind of look. It's supposed to be atmosphere. I wish atmosphere actually looked like it does in the viewport, but it never really does. So basically they come out of here, and this camera is all fucked up. I definitely remember that. And this is when she like comes down, and you can see sparkles there, kind of like he's about to throw the ender pearl, and the ender pearl has particles on it, and then he like spawns. Let me just really quickly turn on quick shading, and then I'm going to turn off textures so you guys can see. And that's when she slices him, and then he's like, he throws his ender pearl. I know it's really like glitchy, it sucks. Yeah, there's nothing I could do. So then you can see he's running the cloth simulation. I had to do 3 different cloth simulations for sparkles. That's how crazy this was. Yeah, I had to do like 3 different cloth simulations. And I believe all 3, I had to have 3 different cloths. So if you have like 3 different shots and you need cloth for each one, this is the perfect way. Yeah, four different ones. So I had to do this 4 different times and keyframe. Basically, you have to like keyframe the on and off for your cloth, so that way it doesn't like get messed up. But that's what you have to do if you're like doing shots where like a character is like running or something. It's best to like do like different scenarios, like if it's switching, because I noticed when I did this all at once, it like glitched all the way out. So I had to do different shots for each of the or different things for each of the cloth. And basically, this is where it ends. It where Skipper kind of stabs her in the back and then does that whole thing, and then they run away, or they run out. So basically, I do have more scenes and stuff, but if you do want to see like extra to this, you're always free to ask, and maybe I'll do it in the future. I don't know, but I will be doing some of the other animations we've done and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, this kind of behind the scenes for Capsize. Meant to do it a long time ago, but now I'm getting to do it, so just be happy. Just kidding. Okay. See you guys, and thanks for watching. Subscribe.